Take 5. No other time will be as good.
Trade in the just concluded miniseries.
This is the WIBW News at 10 with Northeast Kansas #1 news team. John Holt, Dave Rellahan, and Brad Stauffer.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight. Murder Ordained has portrayed in 4 hours the nearly 4 years.
This is 13 News at 10 with Northeast Kansas #1 news team.
Good evening. I'm Kim Sherwood. Thank you for joining us.
You're watching 13 News this morning.
Good morning, Northeast Kansas. Thanks for waking up with us. This is 13 News this morning, and I'm Ron Harbaugh.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Rob Peppers. It's Tuesday, September the 6th.
Too few teachers for too many kids makes for tight quarters in Topeka School District.
A huge pot of money is waiting for one lucky person who has the right numbers.
And meet our Wednesday's children, 3 kids taking their best shot at finding a forever family.
This is 13 News, where news comes first.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Lori Hutchinson.
And I'm Ralph Hipp. Thanks for joining us tonight. Topeka schools have just opened.
You're watching 13 News on WIBW, where news comes first.
Golf can be a frustrating sport, trying to get that little ball into that tiny cup.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Steve, you get the last word. Tonight on 13 News, there's been a plea in a car theft case. A car belonging to a well-known Topeka boy. There could be another new cable provider or two in your hometown coming soon. We'll tell you why. And acrobats from China wow the crowd at TPAC tonight. Good evening, everybody. Thanks.
You're watching 13 News at 10 with Marla Carter and Ralph Hipp. 13 News, Kansas news leader. You're watching Marla Carter and Ralph Hipp. 13 News, Kansas news leader.
This is pretty amazing what they can do. Chinese.
Authorities are looking into how a vehicle ended up on its top yesterday, sending 2 kids to the hospital. More on that story coming up, plus this.
Could this be winter's last hurrah? I'm Don Champion in New York City, tracking a storm stretching from Dallas to New England.
You're watching 13 News this morning with Sarah Blake, Chris Fisher, and Colin Myers. 13 News, Kansas news leader.
Good morning, everybody. 6:01. Happy you're here to join us for
Watching Midday in Kansas with Amanda Lanham, Chris Fisher, and Drew Schweitzer. 13 News, Kansas news leader.
And a very good Thursday afternoon to you. Welcome to Midday in Kansas.
13 News at 6. 13 News, Kansas news leader.
Good evening, I'm Melissa Bruner.
And I'm Ralph Hipp. Thanks for joining us on a sad night in Topeka again this evening. The search for the man suspected of killing 2.
13 News at 6 with Melissa Bruner and Ralph Hipp. 13 News, Kansas news leader. You're watching 13 News, Kansas news leader.
A Topeka man has been killed.
Scary moments caught on tape. WIBW workers wrestle with an armed intruder. Thousands of Topekans in the dark tonight. Why thieves are to blame. A Topeka park ready for an extreme makeover. What's in store for Dornwood? And Fort Riley soldiers headed for Afghanistan get an emotional send-off from their families.
Good evening, I'm Melissa Bruner.
And I'm Ralph Hipp. Thank you so much for joining us. This is 13 News at 10 o'clock tonight. 2 of our
Watching 13 News at 10 with Melissa Bruner and Ralph Hipp. 13 News, Kansas news leader.
Every Wednesday.
We're watching 13 News this morning with Reagan Porter and Chris Fisher. 13 News, Kansas news leader.
Good morning. Thanks for being with us for 13 News this morning. It is May 22nd on this Tuesday.
You're watching 13 News, Kansas news leader.
Good evening, I'm Melissa Bruner.
And I'm Ralph Hipp. A surprise announcement earlier today from the man who heads up to...
You're watching 13 News at 6 with Melissa Bruner and Ralph Hipp. 13 News, Kansas news leader.
mourning loss while celebrating life.
I love you, Grandpa.
Topekans use the weekend to relax and remember. Murder in Mississippi, a domestic dispute turned deadly. Then, cycling brings the community together, and a NASA treadmill is giving people out of this world benefits. Good evening, and thank you for joining us for 13 News at 10. I'm Tori Mason. Many of us had the day off tomorrow. Hopefully the rain does.
You're watching 13 News, Kansas News Leader.
Good evening, and thanks for staying up late with us tonight. I'm Melissa Bruner. Ralph Hipp is off, while the K-State Wildcats dance.
You're watching 13 News at 10. 13 News, Kansas News Leader. Live, local, experienced. This is 13 News This Morning, Kansas News Leader.
Rise and shine and happy Friday. Thanks for joining us on 13 News This Morning. I'm Denisha Richards.
I'm Chris Fisher. If that caught your attention, it caught ours too. We're like, hey.
Hey.
Love the new graphics and sound package that we have.
Yeah, I like it.
Lots to in store as far as new sounds and swooshes and graphics on your screen. So I'm looking forward to the show just as much as hopefully our viewers.
Live, local, experienced. This is Midday in Kansas. Kansas News Leader.
We've made it to the Friday edition of Midday in Kansas. Welcome in. I'm Chris Fisher. We've got a lot to tell you about, including more details on President Trump being tested positive for the coronavirus. We'll have it on.
Experienced. This is Eye on Northeast Kansas. Kansas News Leader.
Good afternoon and welcome into Eye on Northeast Kansas. All the stress of our world today doesn't only take a toll on adults. Our kids may be feeling.
Live, local, experienced. This is 13 News at 10. Kansas News Leader.
Good evening. Welcome into the news at 10. I'm Melissa Bruner, Kansas Prep Zone.
Take 5. No other time will be as good.